A superior outdoor cold weather tent stake? Want to know how I made it? Then please stick around. Welcome back everybody to another fun-filled MYOG episode. So after my overnighter with the hot tent, which was really just a big test, I had some issues with the tent stakes. I knew I was going to have issues with them. They're flimsy. Every one of them has got a bend in them now, and I just don't see them lasting for very long. So I started thinking how, I could buy some heavy-duty tent stakes, or I could make some. I started pricing the heavy-duty tent stakes, and I figured it would cost me about the same to make some versus buying them, and I get to have more input into what I find, because I wanted a long, strong tent stake. And that's so if I'm camped out on top of the snow, let's say I compact the snow down, I got a pretty thick layer of snow, and then I got frozen ground under that. I wanted it to be long enough to go deep enough in to secure itself and still have enough sticking out of the snow to tie off on, to easily see. So I went to my local hardware store and started walking around thinking about this, and I found this. This right here, let me turn off the ring light, getting a little bit of glare there. These are 12-inch common spikes. Now these are huge. And you get 15 pieces. They're 3/8 inch diameter. They're pretty big. I'll just let you see the back of the box and the UPC. Okay? When you take them out of the box, this is basically what you get. Now, for my viewers in other countries where they use the metric system, 12 inches is about 30.48 centimeters. So that's pretty long. It's a pretty heavy-duty piece. Now this just by itself would make a pretty good tent stake. But I was thinking about it and I was like, man, I want to be able to get them out of the ground as easy as possible, even if they're frozen in. So I decided to purchase some flat steel stock. And when I started out, this was a very long piece. Basically, it was 48 inches or 122 centimeters. And what this is this is 3/4 inches wide by 1/8 of an inch thick, or 19.05 millimeters wide and 3.175 millimeters thick. And I figured if I drilled this out to fit on here, weld this up, that it would give me a T-handle. See? Then these pieces that I cut are 3 inches long, or 7.62 centimeters. And that's a pretty good handful. And I figured if you grab them, they're frozen in the ground, you give it a twist, it'll break free. At least that's the theory. So you're going to want to take your flat stock and cut it 3 inches long, or 7.62 centimeters. Then you're going to want to lay out where you want to drill and what you want to do. And everything is centered this way, and the center hole for the actual tent stake is right here in the center. Now, this line and this line from the edge is 1 inch in, or 2.54 centimeters. The next line is a 1/2 inch in, or 1.27 centimeters. And then to make the round radius, I just used a dime with a Sharpie. Then you go ahead and you drill out your holes and round it off. You break all your sharp edges. You use a countersink to countersink all the holes. That takes the sharp edges off the holes. Now this hole here is 3/8, so it'll fit on here. And it comes down pretty tight here in the last little bit. And when you get it on, it's pretty snug. Okay, so there's where we are at this point. Now, these holes are 1/4 of an inch, or 6.35 millimeter. It's big enough to run paracord through. So then you would take these and you would weld it here on the inside. Now, if you can't weld or you don't know how to weld, find somebody that can help you weld. Check your local yellow pages. There's plenty of shops around. But you would weld it, and this is what you would end up with once the weld is all cleaned up. And this is almost 100% done. But we're going to test this out before we go any further. Now, take a piece of paracord. This paracord here, you can cut it between 13 and 15 inches. You can see this one's 13 inches. 15 just gives you a bigger circle. Then we're going to feed it in through the 2 inner holes, right like that. We're going to take this and we're going to tie a fisherman's knot, which is 2 overhand knots, like that. And like this. When you pull it together and give it a good snug pull, that is not going to come apart unless you untie it. That gives us a nice little handle that you can hang these up by. Plus, if you use bright colored paracord, it's kind of a flag to show you where the tent stake is. Alright, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to pound this halfway into the ground, so at least this much of it will be in the ground. And that's going to be 6 inches. And then we're going to leave it for a week. And we're going to let these cold temperatures do their thing and freeze that tent stake in place. So the next time you see me, we're going to be outside and we're going to see if we can get it out as easy as it goes in. We're out here in the backyard. It is 28 degrees Fahrenheit out. And we had some snow and weather yesterday. It started out as like rain, then went to freezing rain, then to snow. And that tent stake has been out here all week. So we're going to see what we can do. As you can see, there's no tracks around it. You're going to get to see with me whether or not I can get it out. Now the idea is that I'm going to grab that T-handle and give it a twist. I should be able to break it free and pull it out. So let's give it a try. Look at that. Look at that. It came right out. That is perfect. And at an angle like that, your line going this way, I think that's the perfect tent stake. Look at all the ice on it. Yeah. All right. Let's take this one back inside. You saw how easy it was to break the stake free after being a week out in freezing conditions, being rained on, frozen, and then snowed on. Now, one thing I do want to point out is we got a little bit of rust going on. See that? A little bit of rust. And that's, you're going to have that with steel. Yeah, look at all that. So, I'm going to show you what you can do to minimize that rust. And what you can simply do to minimize the rust is after the welding, go ahead and paint it. I painted this with just some flat black Rust-Oleum that I got. I'm not too worried about the shaft. It's mostly up here and then the weld. Put some black paracord on there. It's all ready to go. And that is all there is to making these extremely heavy-duty cold weather tent stakes. They're cheap. They're relatively simple to make if you can get somebody to weld them up for you. You only need to put half of the actual distance length of the stake in the ground. And you saw how easy I was able to get them out. Long as you're able to grab that T-handle and twist, and it came right out after being frozen in. So I think that's a win. I'm going to finish up the rest of these so I have a set for my winter camping, my hot tent camping. I might even make a second set to go in the truck for winter. And that's all I got to say on this, folks. Real simple MYOG. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And I hope to see you out in that snow hot tent camping.